Young Turks, Cenk, Uygur, and Kasparian for you guys. Nothing but a fun show, okay? Is the chitter chatter still going on about how sexy I am? I guess, I don't know. People are talking about it.
No. I don't know what world you're living in. I haven't heard any of that chitter chatter. Like 0% of it.
You look, I can't stop the people from saying what they're saying. Again, I'm just here to report the news.
We have work to do.
Okay, we have work to do, guys. We've got actual news for you.
Are you high?
No, of course not. I'm high on life though, okay, as I usually am. Is that what gives me this glow and this pizzazz? I suppose.
All right. Okay, let's get to it. We've got a lot of news to get to, beginning with a possible domestic terror threat. Let's talk about it. The FBI's office in Cincinnati, Ohio was put on lockdown after an armed man who reportedly made threats against the FBI engaged in a standoff. In fact, according to reporting, he had fired a nail gun into the FBI building as he was attempting to break into it. Luckily, he didn't break into it, but he did exchange fire with authorities. And as we talk about this story in this moment, and of course, by the time you watch it, the story may have changed. The authorities still have not managed to get this man in custody. So here's what we know so far. The incident began around 9 a.m. when a man tried to enter the visitor screening facility outside the FBI Cincinnati field office in the suburb of Kenwood, Ohio, said Todd Lindgren, an agency spokesperson. Now he said an alarm was set off and agents responded. Later, NBC News reported that the suspect, who was armed with an AR-15 style semi-automatic rifle, fired a nail gun into the building. So just to clarify, because this might be a little confusing, he had the AR-15, but the AR-15 wasn't enough. He wanted to make sure he was properly armed with a nail gun in addition to the AR-15. Now, the suspect was seen fleeing in a white vehicle when he fired shots at the authorities. The man then fled on Interstate 71, which was closed for much of the day. It has reopened since. He was spotted about 20 minutes later by a state trooper at a rest area. The trooper began a chase and came under fire. And that's according to the Ohio State Highway Patrol. The Emergency Management Agency in Clinton County, which includes Wilmington, said law enforcement officers had traded shots with a man dressed in a gray shirt and body armor. They had him cornered in a cornfield eventually, but now it's unclear why it is that they have failed to get this man in custody. So there is still an active situation going on as we report this story to you at this moment. And to be clear, since he's not in custody, we don't know what his motive is. We can certainly speculate why the FBI would be targeted by individuals, especially given the fact that Trump's Mar-a-Lago residence was raided by FBI officials earlier this week. But Cenk, before we get to conservatives weighing in on this matter and essentially telling the FBI to stop crying about it, wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, here's the most amazing part of the story. So he hides in a cornfield and he's a criminal mastermind. Oh my God. Corn Pop is back.
Oh my God, Cenk.
Okay, now it's a serious story. So let's get serious for a second. Look, I have a prediction here.
He's my boss. Just putting that out there.
Okay, well, look. So here's a prediction on this story. The guy's gonna say that he used a nail gun because he just basically kind of wanted to do a warning shot. Hey, FBI, you better not mess with us. We're gonna hold you accountable. But hey, I didn't fire a real weapon, he'll say, at the FBI building. This is my prediction, it hasn't happened yet. And then they'll say, yeah, but you fired your weapon at the cops. And he'll say, yeah, but they were following me. Okay, now the reason why I'm predicting this is because that's the right-wing frame of mind.
They're always the victim.
Yeah, one, they're entitled to anything, including going and firing at FBI officials with a nail gun, thinking, you're so lucky, I'm only using a nail gun. Like, I guarantee you that that's his frame of mind. And then he said, well, I mean, if you're chasing me, I mean, I'm not black, I'm allowed to shoot back, right? And so that's my guess as to how it's gonna come out. Is it a coincidence that the FBI building gets targeted after every right-wing lunatic, including that means like pretty much everyone in right-wing media was saying, oh, FBI, they targeted Trump and they're the Gestapo and we have to rip their throats out, as Steve Bannon said, etc. Not likely to be a coincidence.
Not likely. So again, it has not been confirmed. We are responsible people, so we're not gonna say that without a shadow of a doubt, this was motivated by what happened to Trump earlier in the week. It is likely, but again, no confirmation because the guy isn't even in custody yet, which is, can we just real quick acknowledge how insane that is?
Acknowledge.
How incompetent are these authorities? How do you not have this man in custody? This happened around 9 a.m. this morning, local time in Cincinnati, Ohio. Just blows my mind. Anyway, now what has the reaction been from right-wing influencers like Charlie Kirk? Well, he just wants to ensure that all of our focus is on the fact that the FBI consists of bad guys. But the individual who might be carrying out violence against innocent people, don't be distracted by that. Let's watch.
Now there's a new report that shows someone is attacking the FBI building in Cincinnati. Interstate 171 North is shut down after suspect drove towards Waynesville, Ohio. Unconfirmed reports say he is now firing at police from a cornfield. Now I'm sure this will now be the main focus, even though we have said repeatedly to remain peaceful and stay focused on constructive things that we can do. They're now going to try to play the victim after they occupied Donald Trump's home, a military occupation.
Bro, what are you talking? What military occupation? Do you know what a military occupation is? His home was raided by FBI agents, meaning law enforcement, federal law enforcement. Federal law enforcement is different from the military. What, like? Anyway, a little less time taking whatever it is that you might be taking that's causing your face to twitch. It's incredibly distracting and obviously is having an impact on your ability to think critically about what's going on. Yeah. What is that? What's wrong with your face?
Fix your face.
Get it together. Jesus.
Fix your face, as was said legendarily a while back. Okay, so I have many things to say about this. First is, I don't know why the FBI is pretending to be victims. They're not pretending to be victims, they were shot at, okay? But now apparently you can shoot at the cops, although they don't encourage violence. But I mean, they're obviously faking it, so do whatever you want to them. So anyways, they're not pretending, they were shot at, they pursued the guy, etc.
No, it's military occupation.
Second of all, look guys, here's the thing with the right wing.
They're stupid?
Yeah, well, of course.
I usually don't say that, but honestly, after watching that, you just called it a military occupation.
Yeah. So
play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Homeboy took home classified documents from the White House and broke laws that he himself, by the way, that Trump himself in 2018 made even more harsh. Okay, yeah. Mishandling classified documents, the penalties are more harsh today because in 2018, Donald Trump is the one who made them more harsh. But nonetheless, go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, he could actually get 5 years in prison for doing what he did. Of course he won't. But look, whenever these situations come up, I always think, what if the shoe was on the other foot? Or what if the twitch was on the other face? And how would I react, right? So Bernie, I always think about that. What if they raided Bernie's home? Now, first of all, like the right wing is skeptical of mainstream media and the establishment, and we don't blame them for that. We talk about that all the time. We're skeptical of them. So if Bernie was about to like win a primary and all of a sudden they're busting into his home, I'd be a little skeptical about it. But I would also be curious. Wow, they got a judge to sign off on it. I wonder what the warrant says. I wonder what they're going to charge him with. I wonder, and why did Bernie take home
classified documents?
Classified documents from the White House. What a curious, weird thing to do, right? Why would you want to hide things that are classified from the White House? I would have all of these questions, but that's because I'm not a right winger. Right winger has no questions. They say, oh, Trump took home documents that are classified. Awesome, I love it, I love it. Is there any chance that maybe he did something wrong? There's no chance. You always take the secret documents and you always put them in your safe in Mar-a-Lago so that the National Archives can't have it and the other government can't have it. Really, why? What a weird assumption. Why do you guys think, like you're skeptical of media establishment, we get it, but why do you think the one guy in the country who would never lie is Donald J. Trump? That is such a curious choice.
I don't even see this as a Republican thing, although what I'm about to describe is prominently featured with Republican media and Republican voters. It's not that you're not a Republican, it's that you're not a bitch for the elite, okay? It's that you understand that it's important to have a justice system that ensures that no one is above the rule of law. And for far too long, we have dealt with presidents who have committed war crimes, presidents who have broken all sorts of laws, and there's no consequence for them. And Donald Trump, I mean, he's gotten away with so much. Yes, he's been under investigation a billion times, but he's got all of his little cronies and all of his little buddies in the Republican Party providing cover for him. He's been impeached twice, but he hasn't been convicted in those impeachments because he's got the Republicans providing cover and refusing to vote to convict him of what he was clearly guilty of doing, okay? So let's put all of that aside. Let's also just address the fact that the right wing consistently talks about how much they want civil war, how much they want violence, how much they want to go to war, literally, over what the FBI did in like literally just doing its job and doing this investigation, obtaining the warrant through a court order, through a judge's signature, and then carrying out the raid to get the documents that they were looking for. And here's what Charlie Kirk has to say in his ridiculous denials of what we've been hearing from the right wing over and over again for several years now.
That cannot allow us to keep our eye off the ball of exactly what happened earlier this week. This is the main focus now of the media. The media is now saying, well, do you see how the right is reacting to all of this? For example, HuffingtonPost.com, MAGA world wants war after FBI raid on Trump's Mar-a-Lago. Or how about this other one where they say the right is now calling for conflict and violence. Look, don't fall for any of this. The reason they are now grasping at these narratives, the reason they're grasping at these things is they are terribly worried that they made a tragic mistake.
No, I think it has to do with all of the right wingers who have literally called for war. Why don't we give you the evidence? Because it's easier to look at the evidence than to just say something with nothing to back it up. Let's start with Steven Crowder. Tomorrow is war, sleep well.
Oh.
Wow, that seems pretty straightforward. Here's another one, Stephen Bannon. We need to choke down the FBI and choke down the Justice Department. Here's more. Sebastian Gorka, former Trump advisor who now hosts a show on Salem Radio, whatever that is, said the FBI's actions were a declaration of war. Great. Gateway Pundit, a pro-Trump outlet, wrote, "This means war." Monica Crowley, a right-wing commentator who worked in the Trump administration, tweeted this: "This is it. This is the hill to die on."
I mean, all she was missing from that tweet was in Cincinnati at the FBI building. That's all of them. They're like, go, grab your weapons, do something. No, oh my God, somebody grabbed a weapon and did something? We're so surprised.
Then the inflammatory rhetoric continues. Quote, "I do not think it's beyond this administrative state and their deep state apparatus to actually try to work on the assassination of President Trump."
Insane.
This charge was echoed by former New York City Police Commissioner Bernard Kerik, who said he is worried Democrats might try to assassinate Donald Trump. Quote, "I'm going to tell you something. I'm not into conspiracies,
really?
Except I am. I'm not into government, anti-government rhetoric," Kerik said. "This is the first time in my lifetime that I would say I'm deathly afraid for Donald Trump. I would not put assassination behind these people. No evidence indicating, not a shred of proof indicating that there is any attempt to assassinate Donald Trump. But who cares? Let's just put it out there. All sorts of inflammatory rhetoric about going to war, about how we need to protect Daddy Trump from assassination, even though there's no evidence that there's anyone even thinking about doing that." And then Ben Collins, compiled all of these MAGA chuds in Truth Social and QAnon forums, posting things like lock and load. Are we not in a cold civil war at this point? Several points ago. Then cry out in pain as they strike you. They cry out in pain as they strike you. And one other person said, they will cry out in authentic pain soon.
With a nail gun. They said lock and load, and then a guy locks and loads, and then they pretend to be outraged that he locked and loaded. You literally called for it. And now one more thing here. if left-wing media hosts did 10% of this, we would be deplatformed and maybe even arrested. So you're not allowed to talk about violence like that at all, unless you're a right-winger and you have magic immunity from law enforcement, from the platforms, etc. Because all they do is cry and cry and cry. So they're like, go to war, lock and load, grab your weapons, do everything you need to do, okay? And we gotta go and strike back, and it's time right now to go take violent action. And everybody's like, oh no, they're right-wingers. They can say anything they like. One left-wing host says that, they're gone, okay? It's the usual double standard. And as always, hey, you guys, I know you don't require evidence, you don't care about facts, but you don't know what's in the warrant. And part of the reason you don't know what's in the warrant and what he might or might not have done is because Donald Trump is hiding the warrant. He could show it today.
100%.
He's not showing it because it's terrible, apparently, right? Why do you think he's hiding the documents? Why do you think he's hiding the warrant? Because he's the most innocent man alive. I mean, there's no end to how much of a sucker every dumbass right-wing voter is.
Well, let's get to that issue in particular, because Merrick Garland made a move today that really did expose Trump's whole ass, and it's pretty incredible. So let's get to that story.
Just now, the Justice Department has filed a motion in the Southern District of Florida to unseal a search warrant and property receipt relating to a court-approved search that the FBI conducted earlier this week. That search was of premises located in Florida belonging to the former president. The department did not make any public statements on the day of the search. The former president publicly confirmed the search that evening, as is his right. Copies of both the warrant and the FBI property receipt were provided on the day of the search to the former president's counsel, who was on site during the search. The search warrant was authorized by a federal court upon the required finding of probable cause.
There you have it, Attorney General Merrick Garland making it clear that he is filing a motion to unseal the warrant that allowed for FBI agents to raid the Mar-a-Lago residence of Donald Trump. And the reason why he's doing that is because there's public interest. There are calls for more information, especially considering Republicans have run with this narrative of it being nothing more than a politically motivated witch hunt. So it's in Trump's best interest, right, for this to be unsealed so the American people can see what's really transpiring here. Except Trump allies, according to the New York Times, are discussing the possibility of challenging the Justice Department's motion to unseal the Mar-a-Lago search warrant. Why?
Why? It's a witch hunt, right? Don't you want to say, oh, the warrant's got nothing in it? Oh, look at this, they're looking for meatball recipes. It's ridiculous. It's totally useless. So hashtag show the warrant.
Show the warrant.
Show the warrant.
But they won't. In fact, they have contacted outside lawyers about helping them, according to a person briefed on the discussions. Interesting that they don't want us to see the warrants. It's almost as if this isn't a witch hunt and Trump actually broke the law and was not forthright about the type of classified documents he might be hiding in his Mar-a-Lago residence. Now, with that said, we've learned more about the timeline that led to this raid, namely the fact that Trump had received a subpoena 2 months ago, basically saying, listen, we know that there are additional potentially classified documents in your residence. We're giving you a chance to hand them over. This is a subpoena calling on you to hand them over. He failed to do that. And since he failed to do that, a federal judge in Florida signed off on the search warrant necessary to conduct the raid, and the raid happened on Monday of this week. And apparently there is also reporting from Newsweek indicating that there was an FBI informant, potentially someone very, very close to Trump, because not a lot of people knew about Trump's safe, including where Trump's safe was, and the authorities were able to get into that safe. And so here is Trump's former acting chief of staff, Mick Mulvaney, talking about that on CNN.
This is someone with knowledge inside who told the feds that there was additional material at Mar-a-Lago, directed them where it should be, clearly was concerned enough to tell them this, information they should have besides those 15 boxes of material they got in the winter. Does that change your mind? Is that now sufficient when you have someone actually aligned with him drawing the attention of the feds to these documents?
No, it's certainly worthwhile, and it's certainly worth noting. There's no question that it would be valid on getting a search warrant, or at least part of getting a search warrant.
How close do you think that person in Trump's orbit would have had to be to know these details about where these documents were?
Really, that's a good question. Really close. I didn't even know there was a safe at Mar-a-Lago, and I was the chief of staff for 15 months. So this would be someone who was handling things on day-to-day, who knew where documents were. So that would be somebody very close inside the president. My guess is there's probably 6 or 8 people who had that kind of information.
So the fact that there's someone close to Trump who served as an FBI informant has led to a lot of paranoia within Trump circles, which is a lot of fun. We'll get to that in a moment. But Cenk, jump in.
Yeah, so first on Trump, look at the sense of entitlement. If the federal government told me, hey, you have some documents that we want, and we really want to get them, right? I would hand them over because I'd be scared that they're gonna break into my house and et cetera, et cetera. Plus, I would cooperate. There's no reason for me not to cooperate with law enforcement. Hey, we'd like to see your taxes. Okay, sure, have a look, right? You'd like to see this or that. Okay, what's the big deal, right? No, this guy feels like, no, I'm not allowed to take classified documents, break the law, a law that I passed, and you get a 5-year prison sentence for. And no, you're not allowed to see them. No, I just want to destroy the evidence. It's like the sense of entitlement is unbelievable. Again, the right wing, infinite delusion, right? If an ally of mine, pick a random one, let's say Ro Khanna, well, the FBI raids his home and he won't give over classified documents that he's keeping in a safe in his basement, I'd go, I wonder what Ro's up to, right? I wouldn't be like, oh my God, it's a witch hunt. I know for sure he's innocent. I'd be like, I don't know, I'd like to see the evidence, right? But for them, they look at it and go, no, I don't need to see the goddamn evidence. No, I'm positive that Trump is perfectly innocent. Trump is the one guy you're positive is perfectly innocent and you don't need to see evidence. Fascinating. Okay, so in terms of the Merrick Garland move, I love it. Like calling his bluff, okay?
Yes.
You're saying the FBI is doing this thing and it's Gestapo and they're gonna plant evidence and you're saying all these lunatic things. I'm ready to show the warrant. You wanna show the warrant? You know, Donald Trump has a history of hiding things that are damaging to him. You know, he still hides his high school grades. I'm not joking, you can look it up. And he still hides his college grades, et cetera, because he's worried that people are gonna think he's a dum-dum, but because he's a dum-dum.
He says he has a very big brain.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So if you have such a big brain, well, why don't you show us your grades? Why don't you show us the warrant? So he never wants to show you anything because in his mind, he's pathetic and he doesn't want anybody to find out.
Exactly.
So that's exactly what's happening here.
So let's get to the paranoia part of this because that's fun.
Oh, that's super rich.
Because think about it. Someone informed the FBI about the existence of additional classified documents that Trump was supposed to hand over, okay, to the National Archives, and he failed to do so. And so here's what we know based on the paranoia that's transpiring within Trump circles as a result of this news. This summer, Trump has asked close associates if they think his communications are being monitored by the feds or, per his phrasing, by Biden.
Or yeah, you know, Brandon?
By the way, Biden, listen, Biden's napping. Okay, like the idea that Biden is like dun 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 dun, like he's napping.
Biden's never seen dun 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 in his whole life. Are you crazy? The one thing that Trump got right was Sleepy Joe.
100%. Okay. My dad, my 75-year-old, 77-year-old dad says that now. He calls him Sleepy Joe, not because I call him Sleepy Joe at home, but because he heard Trump say it once, and he's like, yeah, Biden is kind of sleepy.
Like so, Biden woke up from his nap. It was like, my Republican friends were like, no, it's time to get Trump, laser eyes. Come on, are we talking about the same guy?
All right, let's keep going. As a source close to Trump describes it to Rolling Stone, quote, he has asked me and others, do you think our phones are tapped? Now, it gets better though. One Trump advisor tells Rolling Stone that since Tuesday, MAGA loyalists have been asking to pass their suspicions to Trump, telling him not to trust certain individuals and to investigate them for possible contacts with federal authorities. Quote, I'm getting a lot of messages saying things like, this guy must be the informant, and others calling for the former president to start doing phone checks of his staff, says the advisor. To be honest, a lot of it feels like people trying to screw over the ones they don't like in Trump world. And so the real question is, what's really behind this? What's really going on here? Because someone close to Trump is apparently tipping the FBI and the Justice Department. And my theory, my prediction, is that it's Melania Trump. Why?
Ooh, drums.
Two reasons why. Number one reason is she clearly did not like being first lady, did not like having to live in the White House. In fact, for a huge portion of Trump's administration, she was living in New York. And then the second reason, well, I'll just help you visualize it. Let's watch.
So there we have it, the president greeting French President Emmanuel Macron and his wife Brigitte. He's obviously there, joined by First Lady Melania Trump. I want to bring.
Your administration and may.
Nah, come on, it's Melania. That's it.
No, I had not thought of that. Hashtag genius. Somebody's saying it. All of a sudden the internet's saying it. Okay, if this turns out to be a hashtag, Anna was right. Oh my God, mind blown.
Oh my God, it would be the biggest scandal in American history.
Okay, I'm gonna add to your theory. He randomly said, like, oh, they rifled through Melania's closets, the FBI did.
Yeah, and she's not complaining about it.
No. Maybe they did that to throw them off the scent.
Maybe.
Like, oh, we're targeting Melania as well. She's not our source, okay? Because look, they gotta know that there's a safe. Like Mulvaney said, there aren't that many people that know that he's got a safe down there. I thought one of the kids, I thought maybe it's Jared Kushner who was doing it, but Melania is a better theory. That's an excellent theory. She hates him. That's super obvious. I mean, look, we showed you the tape. But beyond, just walk off, get out. Okay.
Gone.
My favorite is this one, the SWAT. Get out of here. Okay. So she would have the incentive to do it. She doesn't give a damn about him. My God, if they had any kind of evidence against her, she'd be like, oh, right away, I turn evidence. Right away. Okay. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. Okay,
wait, that's just a prediction, by the way.
Of course, it's a prediction. So one last thing, guys. Seriously, Trump is a slight defense of Trump. He's paranoid, like, oh, Biden's wiretapping me, and he's like, it's no, that's crazy talk. But like, he's right to be quote unquote paranoid. Someone in his inner circle is selling him out. There's no question about that. There's multiple sources that say yes, there's somebody at within Trump's circle that is the source for the FBI knowing that he's hiding these classified documents and where he's hiding them, right? So it's not really paranoid if you actually do have someone who's turned on you in your inner circle. I'm looking forward to that dissension. It's going to be wonderful.
All right, and then one quick update. We should edit this into the first story that we did because there's a big update here. So we just got word that the suspect who had targeted the FBI headquarters in Cincinnati, Ohio, has been found dead. We don't know too many details, but 2 law enforcement officials have confirmed to NBC News that Ricky Walter Schiffer, the suspect in the attack on the FBI field office in Cincinnati, is dead. Schiffer was present at the US Capitol on January 6th. Do with that information what you will.
Yeah, I'll do what I will with it, which is obviously he was a right-wing Trump supporter.
And we've got a bunch of right-wing domestic terrorists running around, and they're constantly being incited by right-wing media, constantly. So this is America, land of the free, home of the brave. We got to take a break though. We'll come back with John Bolton, surprised that someone would want to assassinate him for a low price. We've got that and more coming right up.
right, back on TYT, Cenk and Anna with you guys. Also, Deidre Tyree, Jalen Brooks, watching live for the first time. Juan Montoya, Maria Harkness, all became members. All American heroes. They hit the join button below on YouTube.
Yeah.
TYT.com/join. Come do the show with us, man. It's fun, and we bring truth to everybody. Speaking of which, we got a break.
Yes, so we have more details on the individual who targeted the FBI building in Cincinnati, Ohio. The New York Times has identified the Ohio shooting suspect as Ricky Schiffer. There is a Truth Social account using that same name. On the same day the FBI executed a search warrant on Mar-a-Lago, the account made a call to, quote, be ready for combat, and to, quote, this is a little vague. I don't know what he means here. Quote, kill the FBI on sight. Gee, I wonder what motivated this attack on the FBI building in Cincinnati, Ohio. Now, luckily, the only one who has gotten hurt, the only one who has died is Ricky Schiffer. And unfortunately, we have a bunch of these Trump cultists running around, ready to fire their weapons, ready to kill people. And this isn't the first time we've seen political violence from Trump supporters. Obviously, there's January 6th. Obviously, there's the mass shooting that happened at a supermarket in Buffalo, New York, which was motivated by crazy conspiracies about white replacement theory. You have a mass shooting in El Paso, Texas, that was fueled by anti-immigrant rhetoric coming from Donald Trump and his lackeys. Like, it goes on and on. These people are violent. These people think that they're somehow the righteous ones, but they want to rain terror on anyone and everyone who doesn't agree with their political ideology. They don't believe in freedom. They don't believe in allowing people to live their lives peacefully and have their own political beliefs. These people are dangerous. And I don't know how he ended up dead, but I'm glad no one else is hurt.
So, and Anna, this has been going on a long time. What do they always say about the Second Amendment? They say it's to protect against government tyranny. And then the right-wing media triggers them by saying, this is government tyranny. And so then the guy writes, oh my God, I'm gonna go get the sons of bitches. And he actually does. He goes to fire at them and gets in a shootout with them. So look, I wonder if there's gonna be a point where law enforcement gets tired of it, gets tired of getting attacked and shot at and killed by right-wingers. And that would be an interesting moment in American history. Because historically, law enforcement has been massively right-wing. And now if the right wing's trying to kill them, that might be the only thing that motivates them to go, hey, maybe we should kind of treat everybody equally.
And I just want to give a shout out to our TYT viewers for, I mean, obviously we're on air and it's hard to keep up with breaking news as we're doing the show that we prepared today. But Chip Hua on Twitter has been giving me updates on what's happening with this story. So thank you for that. All right, you ready for the next one?
Go.
Let's do it.
The suspect put a $300,000 price tag on your head. What goes through your mind, Ambassador, hearing the details of this plot as explained today in great detail by the US Justice Department?
Well, I was embarrassed at the low price. I would have thought it would have been higher, but I guess maybe it was the exchange rate problem or something.
A suspect has been identified in the plot to assassinate Trump's former national security advisor, John Bolton. And as you can see from that video, he was incredibly surprised that it would only cost $300,000 to get someone to assassinate him. But considering the fact that Bolton just recently bragged about orchestrating coups in other countries, coups to overthrow democratically elected leaders in other countries, I don't know, I would venture to say that there are plenty of people across the globe who would probably be willing to do it for free, and he should be aware of that. But nonetheless, I do want to go to the next video because you'll get a sense of what I'm talking about here. So in this next clip, we're gonna hear from that interview that I was referring to where he talked about orchestrating coups.
As somebody who has helped plan coup d'etat, not here, but other places, it takes a lot of work.
It takes a lot of work. You make a lot of enemies. A lot of people want to assassinate you, but I'm a pro at orchestrating coups. Just wanted to put that out there. Now let's talk about the actual suspect here. This is related to the assassination of a top military general in Iran, Qasem Soleimani. This happened during the Trump administration, and that leads to individuals in Iran, top-level officials, wanting to retaliate. That's unsurprising. That's what ends up happening when you assassinate officials in other countries. Now, the Justice Department alleged that Shahram Poursafi, also known as Mehdi Rezai, 45, of Tehran, was likely motivated to kill Bolton in retaliation of the death of Qasem Soleimani, a commander of Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guards Corps, and he killed in a US drone strike in January of 2020. Just a few more details from CBS News about this suspect who will not be extradited to the United States because we do not have an extradition agreement with Iran, obviously. Let's watch.
Today, the Department of Justice charged Shahram Poursafi, a member of Iran's Revolutionary Guard, with offering $300,000 to kill Bolton. The FBI says Poursafi, working from Iran, hired operatives to track and then eliminate Bolton, even texting pictures of cash promising payment for the hit. But one of Poursafi's contacts was an FBI informant. Sources tell CBS News another target of the Iranian plot was former Secretary of State Mike Pompeo.
So, Cenk, is it surprising that someone would want to assassinate John Bolton?
No, not at all. So let's go over a couple things here. First, this story broke before the Mar-a-Lago story, and at the time, the right wing is saying, like, look at these Iranians, we got to do something about it. The FBI did a great job in foiling this plot. The next day, they're like, the FBI's the worst, dismantle the FBI.
Defund the FBI.
Well, if you defunded the FBI, John Bolton might be dead. So I'm glad that he's not. I'm glad that our law enforcement did a good job in protecting him, and we have to protect our own, etc. Now, having said that, is it outrageous that there would be an assassination attempt on John Bolton? No, it's not outrageous, it's logical. He was the national security advisor for Trump. Trump killed the Revolutionary Guard Corps commander, Qasem Soleimani, who is basically a national security advisor in Iran. So they would want to do likewise. Like, we have such an absurd bias in America. Like, you could be outraged by it and you say, oh, that's terrible, and it is, right? But you can't say like that it's shocking or outrageous. Why is it not shocking or outrageous when we kill them? But yeah, like news anchors in America genuinely think, no, we get to kill you. But you trying to do it to us in the same exact way? How dare you, dear sir? Well, then maybe we shouldn't have killed their top guy. So anyways, that's point one. Point two is, Wolf, you wanna ask him a follow-up question? Hey, wait, John, didn't you just tell my colleague Jake Tapper just a couple of weeks ago that you like killing foreign leaders? So wouldn't this make sense that they tried to kill you? I mean, you bragged about doing coup d'etats. You know what happens in coups? You murder the guy in charge.
Yeah,
so
you overthrow democratically elected leaders to serve US business interests. This country, with the help of the FBI, by the way, has a long history of doing that. And that leads to enemies, that leads to hostility toward the United States and its government. This isn't rocket science. So look, what Cenk said is correct, right? We don't want anyone to be assassinated. We don't want anyone to get hurt. But actions have consequences, and for far too long, I think the US government has been under the assumption that they can go around the world doing whatever they want without any hostility or consequences or calls for retaliation in return.
Yeah, John Bolton said, quote, I think it's quite correct to say many other Americans are the targets of this regime. No, that's not at all correct. You were the only target. And then he
Pompeo
says-
too.
That's right. Two high level officials involved in security, just like the guy that you guys targeted, that you guys killed, okay? So he says, it tells you what the regime is, it tells you about its character. Okay, that's fair on Iran. It does tell you a little bit about their character and who they are. What does it say about us? Because we didn't only try to do that to them, we actually did do it. We actually did kill the guy.
All right, that's enough Bolton that I can stomach in one day. So why don't we take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk about Lauren Boebert using us to target Biden while also calling us brain dead. Fun. We've got that and more coming up. Don't miss it.
TYT. On YouTube, Evil Ways Blaze became a member. That's awesome. On Twitch, we got Sonic Boom Dragon 23, Kentucky Progressive Dragon, Ali 1987, Ori Borica Dragon, Razor Blaze 81, and Moki Fraggle. That's a lot of folks. Moki Fraggle actually gifted 5 subs. You guys are amazing. Thank you for joining us. We love it. Come do the news with us. Casper.
All right. Well, we've had some interaction with a Republican congresswoman, so let's discuss. Congresswoman Lauren Boebert, whose husband showed his penis to minors in the middle of a busy bar while he was with Lauren Boebert's stepfather, decided to use TYT as an avenue in which she could attack Joe Biden. But she did it in a fascinating way. So let's take a look. Here's the tweet. Even the Young Turks, the most brain dead liberals, I didn't have trouble getting my high school diploma, with the ability to live stream, know that Biden's victory lap on gas prices is absolute bullcrap. And so she had embedded a tiny little snippet from a video that we did recently. If you're wondering what that video contained, let's just quickly watch it so you know what she's trying to say here. He beat gas prices.
Beat gas prices to a pulp. Take this.
Gas prices have gone down a little bit from the insane astronomical high that we've been experiencing.
You know why? He laser-eyed them.
It's still super high.
Okay.
It's still high. And that's right, gas prices are super high, still high, even though they've been coming down. You credit where credit is due, but is the credit meant for Joe Biden? Joe Biden can't unilaterally do much about high gas prices. So to blame him for high gas prices is ridiculous. To give him credit for low gas prices is also ridiculous, because gas and gas prices are tied to what is known as the OPEC cartel. Okay, oil producing countries who can actually withhold the production of oil in order to artificially inflate the price at the gas pump. And then when you have Russia invade Ukraine, that makes matters a lot more complicated, because Russia is one of the countries that's considered part of the OPEC cartel. And we haven't nationalized our fossil fuels, meaning fossil fuel companies can drill as much as they want, but there's nothing stopping them from exporting these resources to the highest bidder, which is why the United States is the top oil and gas producer in the world, and also the top oil and gas exporter in the world. It's a little complicated. I try to talk a little slowly so Lauren Boebert, who had difficulty in getting her GED, can understand what I'm talking about.
Okay, so look, a couple of things.
But call us brain dead.
No, the right wing just doesn't understand this because they never think this way. So that's why I want to just clarify it. We're something called honest. So that's why we criticize Democrats all the time, and that's why we criticize Republicans all the time, because there's a lot to criticize. And we have an honest critique of the Biden administration. In fact, if you watch the show, there's tons and tons of that. Democrats complain nonstop about how much we criticize establishment Democratic leadership, Nancy Pelosi, Joe Biden, et cetera, because we're honest. Okay, but unlike the fake left wing, like the Tulsi Gabbards, Glenn Greenwalds, et cetera, we also criticize the right wing, because boy, is there massive, massive criticism of them that makes a ton of sense. It's just normal, what used to be normal journalism, but everybody's picked a side.
Exactly.
Mainstream media's picked a side, that's corporate rule and the status quo. The right wing has picked a side, like Donald Trump can never do anything wrong. Really? Everybody else can lie, but Donald Trump can't lie? Idiots like Lauren Boebert believe that. They're like, oh yeah, that's a liar. Trump, oh, innocent. Perfectly innocent Donald Trump says the truth every time. You have to be incredibly stupid to believe that. Really, like record breaking. All right, and the other thing is, to Anna's point, we're consistent. You know, we've talked about this on the show for 20 years now. There's things that the president can control, things that the president can't control, things that are short term, things that are long term, right? So Obama handed Trump a really healthy economy. He rode off that for a long time. But and Bush handed Obama a bad one. But there's been different times when Republicans have handed off something positive to Democrats, and we tell you that on the show. And in the case of gas prices, Lauren Boebert says when they're high, it's definitely Joe Biden's fault. But when they start to go lower, it is definitely not his credit. Well, I mean, how can anyone look at that comment and go, oh, that's a smart, honest person? No, that's an obvious liar, or maybe she just doesn't understand simple logic.
There are two kinds of people in the world, okay? Ignore everything else you've learned about people, but there are two different kinds of people, particularly in the United States. There are bitches for the elite, like Lauren Boebert, who provides cover for the criminality committed by Donald Trump and his cronies. And then there are people who believe that the justice system should not be a two-tier justice system where the elite are held above the law and the rest of us suffer consequences that they don't have to suffer. So for instance, if we had taken classified documents out of the White House and we stashed it at home, you think we would get a subpoena 2 months ago asking us politely to hand over the documents and before the raid happens? No, they would raid us immediately. There would be no discussion, we'd already be in prison. But to see members of Congress, to see members of the right-wing media, remember, press is supposed to hold people in positions of power accountable. They're supposed to speak truth to power. Instead, right-wing media is providing cover for the potential criminality of Donald Trump in this particular investigation. Two different kinds of people in the world: bitches for the elite, and then people who actually want a fair and honest and just society. That's the reality here. Now, what am I talking about when I say bitches for the elite? Lauren Boebert happens to be one of them. Yeah, I said it, because here's what her reaction was after the FBI raided Trump's Mar-a-Lago home.
We are ready for battle. I've talked to many of my colleagues, and we're ready to work on this in the House of Representatives. We need oversight, and we need more than that. We need prosecutions. The American people are demanding that. They don't want just truth. They want accountability. And additionally, I'm supporting Chairman Perry's impeachment articles against Merrick Garland. He called moms and dads domestic terrorists for being involved in their children's education. And he has now used the DOJ to target President Trump and Chairman Perry. Under Garland's watch, the DOJ resembles the Gestapo more than a justice-seeking agency.
Yeah, so listen, there are plenty of reasons to attack the FBI, which is, by the way, currently led by Christopher Wray, who was appointed by Donald Trump. Christopher Wray was also confirmed by every single Republican senator who voted for that confirmation. So just important information there. Notice that the right wing never has a problem with the FBI when they're raining terror on ordinary Americans, like Muslim students. They infiltrated student organizations that had Muslim students in them. Okay, with no like real probable cause or anything. You're just like, oh, they're Muslim and 9/11 happened, and like let's just infiltrate Muslim groups. Why not? No problem when you have the intelligence community working to orchestrate coups of democratically elected leaders in other countries. No, when they talk about going after the FBI, understand that it's not because they want to criticize it for raining terror on ordinary people. It's just that they want the FBI to work for them, and they don't want the FBI to use any of its investigative powers to look into potential criminality on the right. That's really what's going on here.
Yeah, so a couple points on that. She almost said something true there. She said they don't just want the truth. She could just leave out the just part. Her voters don't want the truth. They don't care, hey, did Donald Trump really hide national security documents and classified documents? Why is he hiding them? Why won't he tell us what's in the warrant? They don't care about that. They just think Trump's my guy. I don't want you to prosecute him. Merrick Garland's not my guy, so I'm gonna call him Gestapo. There's not a shred of evidence that Merrick Garland has broken the law. Who cares? She said we're gonna prosecute him. Wait, he's the Gestapo? You just said you're gonna prosecute him without any evidence. And then even though they have evidence against Trump, you don't want him prosecuted. That's kind of what the Gestapo would do. And so, but they just don't care about that. And look, about the warrantless wiretapping. Let's talk about that for a second. That targeted real Americans, right? We know for a fact that George W. Bush, a Republican president, did it. And every Republican at the time was like, no, it was awesome. You have to spy in on Americans, real Americans that have no power, crush them, right? And what did the elites do? And it's not just Republicans. See, we're fair, we're not like the Boeberts of the world. George Bush spied on all of you guys and we called him out on it. Then Obama came and covered his ass and refused to prosecute him, right? And so it was also, and we criticized Obama because we're against the elites, we're for the American people. Lauren Boebert is just like mainstream media, just like Nancy Pelosi. Protect your own, don't care about the real people at all. It's just a game that the elites are having, and Lauren Boebert is 100% part of that. 100%.
All right. Well, we gotta. Actually, I have to mention this one other thing, because this is the mindset of right wingers. They like Lauren Boebert has this same mindset, right? Where they think left-wing commentators, left-wing media, they're gonna go ahead and protect Biden and Democratic politicians no matter what. One person writes to me, what if the classified documents that Trump took home with him illegally proved more Obama and Bush war crimes? And I responded, great, they should be prosecuted for war crimes.
Why is that a hard question? And it's only a hard question if you say, I don't give a goddamn about the facts. I just want my guys. And I assume you think like me, that you're corrupt like me. And if we found out that Obama had done something deeply illegal, you were just trying to protect him anyway.
Obama's and to be not fair, our daddy. Anna, like we don't have limited loyalty to Obama and Bush. They're not my daddies. They should be prosecuted for war crimes. If there's with Bush, definitely evidence of war crimes. I would say the same with Obama, considering there were US citizens that were killed in drone attacks abroad.
Well, and we're the only show that says that, because the right-wing media loves illegal drone strikes, right? And to be fair to those guys, they assume that about us because that's what mainstream media does. They cover for Obama and Bush. Notice they thought we were going to defend Bush.
Yep.
We spent 8 years kicking the living crap out of George W. Bush.
I despise Bush.
But they watch MSNBC, and MSNBC loves Bush, loves Dick Cheney now.
Yeah.
And they claim to be the left, right? So people think, oh, you must like Bush and Obama. And by the way, no two idiot Republicans. Bush was the dumbass you chose, not us.
All right, everyone, that does it for our first hour. We're gonna take a brief break, and when we come back, Beto O'Rourke does something right, and we'll show you what it is. And later in the show, we'll discuss how Chuck Schumer's son-in-law got a cushy little deal over at BlackRock following the announcement of the Inflation Reduction Act between Manchin and Schumer. More on that later. We'll be right back.
Internets.
Thanks for listening to the full episode of the Young Turks. Support our work, listen ad-free, access members-only bonus content, and more by subscribing to Apple Podcasts at apple.co/TYT. I'm your host, Cenk, and I'll see you soon.